Thank you so much for everyone for coming in here into what I think is the capital of the AI startup innovation ecosystem in the world right now. So thank you so much. But you know what, the conversations didn't change by much in terms of what we were thinking of. Just thought I'll do a very, very short recap of what we just took away or what we'd like you to walk away when we head off to drinks. The first thing I think when Pari spoke about almost the very first few minutes, we said all of us are at an inflection point. And I think that was the main thing. I think we did realize during the course of conversations was we are, no matter which industry we are in, are at an inflection point. The AI stack is getting a lot more complex. But if there was anything that we wanted to take away was we want to really say stay balanced, but also act with urgency. And I think that was the key point that we want to say stack is getting complex. Our industries could face existential threats if we don't act with urgency, but staying balanced around that was very, very critical. The moving on when Jayesh spoke, that fireside chat was extremely revealing. It was very engaging as well. The way that Salesforce was going around doing their business was phenomenal indeed. He did speak a lot about how the engineering teams is at the forefront of experimentation, and that's the line that I actually underlined and said, okay, if we want to change our businesses, we'd have to get our engineers into it, and they are at the forefront of experimentation. He spoke about how product market fit, which used to take a long time, now is just rapid. Right, so the aspect of taking lovable, creating a product, showing it to customers, getting it over there, was that life cycle has completely shrunk, right? And therefore, I think we then have to look at something like that. Like when we take our businesses into our customers, then how do we look at those products, and shrinking those product market fits was something that we really spoke about. He did say when Pari asked him about org structure and talent pyramids, he used the word, oh, that will change drastically. Right. And he just threw that away and said, oh, okay, that's going to change. So we have to really look at how does our organizational structure look like? What does our talent pyramid look like? And so on. He used said that it would change very, very huge. But the biggest thing that he did say was he said that the way he also said it was the substate systems that has been changing this fast. And he said he went back in the history of engineering and technology and says never has there been a time when the substate systems have been changing this rapidly. And so there was no real time to harden. That was the way he looked at it. So and couple this with the urgencies that we spoke about earlier. So the urgency that we need to act because the substate systems are changing, and that is a call to action because businesses are changing rapidly as well, right? So that's probably the point that I was taking away. He also said the second order effects. So when we spoke about customer success and customer support, for example, he said 85% of the tickets are now getting deflected to AI, but that's not necessarily showing equivalent reduction in the number of tickets that are being fielded by human agents. And he said there is a lot more interaction that is happening between human and between the people and their businesses. There's a lot more. So he was almost saying, okay, they're seeing second order impacts to their businesses happening right now. And he's actually looking at what sort of second order impacts and how should we react to that. And that was a great point as well. Coming to the workshop post Jayesh's speech, and I think Amita made a great point, right? We spoke about a whole lot of challenges in there, but I said, okay, except for one aspect of data quality, most of the challenges were more, I almost say, emotional in terms of how we're looking at it, in terms of adjectives, noise, confusion, opportunity, no visas, optimization. So even the workshops around there were not necessarily about, okay, how are we going to handle technology challenges, but it was about how do we look at organizational challenges? How do we talk about friction? How do we talk about org models? How are we talking about systems and changes within the organization? That seems to be the challenges that we'll actually have to overcome. Not so much in terms of what the specific technology challenges it's were. I think that workshop itself was revealing. Again, love the point that our table spoke about. We actually said, okay, in our table, we said we'll eat our own dog food. So how are we going to have Zinnov managed services processes to be automated? And that came up with some very, very interesting use cases in terms of what I think we should take away internally as well. So that was, I think, that was quite looked at. The way we looked at it was interesting. But now, when we then moved on to some of the other tables, I think, Sumit, you made a point around data quality, right? And I think we spoke about how can we handle data quality. And I think that came out as a challenge multiple times. And I think NanoNets also spoke about how can that can be supported. So maybe one area to look at is the aspects of data and quality and how can we do that. I think there was some really good startup examples thriving out here. Aspects of what I heard with GenIQ, automating with just describing your processes. Love to have that tried out and say, okay, I'll automate. And frankly, I was also making notes and saying, if I were to describe it, how does a workflow look like? And I think that's something that all of us can actually take away. Now, that could either be using the product that they mentioned, but anything else, but actually describe the processes, automate. Getting your hands dirty might really help in terms of how do you want to communicate this to the next in lines as well. So that was probably what it was when we want to sum it up. So I thought I'll just recap the whole 3 hour session in 5 minutes, but there were so many takeaways for us, and hopefully that you got something away. I certainly did. Again, thank you for being here.